Hello everyone. In today's video, we're going to be looking at different traps you can set up using Trigger Happy. In addition to Trigger Happy, we will also be using the modules, the Furnace, Combat Utility Belt, MIDI QOL, Dynamic Active Effects, DAE SRD, Token Magic for some animated effects, and all of our images today are coming from Jinker's animated assets. I'll put a link to in the description below for all of those modules so you can follow along. Let's go ahead and get started with the most basic of the traps we'll be doing today, the Spike Trap. As always with Trigger Happy, you need to either have a journal entry titled Trigger Happy or a folder titled Trigger Happy where you put all of these journals inside of it, which is what I have right here. And we can see the first one I have at token, Deadly Trap. Deadly Trap is the name of the token, at trigger, capture move, at chat message, bracket / DoTrapAttack, trap effects, spikes, deadly trap. Most of this should be pretty familiar if you've watched my other videos, but let's take a look at this last line, DoTrapAttack, trap effects, spikes, deadly trap. What this is a macro, which we can see right here. Everything is going to be the same as what you'd probably find in the DAE, DoTrapAttack, and if you don't have it, I will go ahead and put a down in the description so you can find it. However, I added in one line, and the line I added in will reveal the trap when it is stepped on by the player. And that is right here, TrapToken.update hidden false. That will just reveal the trap when the player steps on it. So everything else is pretty much the same as you've probably seen it before. Again, if you have not, I'll put it down below. And right here we have our spike trap. So we'll go ahead and say that this is our player. And obviously our player cannot see the spikes because they're hidden from them right now. And as soon as they step on it, an attack is made, the damage dice are rolled, and we can see, though, it misses the acolyte, so no damage is actually applied to the character. Now, if we take a look at the trap here, we can see, first of all, that it's revealed, as well as we can see on this, there is nothing as far as spikes. So where is this coming from? Where this is coming from is a separate actor titled Trap Effects. And this is where you can store basically all of your things that will actually do damage. So you create a separate actor for your trap effects. So you have one for the trap and one for the trap effects. Let's go ahead and move on to our second trap and we'll take a closer look at what this is doing. The second one I want to look at is the Fireball Trap, which we can see everything is pretty much the same except the naming of the token and the naming of the item that is being used on the trap effects actor. And then we have the name of the token over here as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at that token on the map. We have here Fireball Trap. Notice that the name matches exactly to the name in the journal. And if we go take a look back at our trap effects actor, we can see here Fireball. Fireball matches the name exactly as it is in the journal entry. Fireball in quotation marks right there. So you need to make sure that your naming is matching up between both your trap effects actor as well as the trap. Because if your naming is wrong, it will not work. And if we take a look at the Fireball, all this is just the Fireball spell that I brought in. I brought it in as a scroll and then I renamed it back to just Fireball. But you could also have it on the spell side as well and it should still work. So everything is set up. All this is going to do is when a player steps on this trap, it'll activate. It'll force them to make the save that they would have to make for a Fireball, the dexterity saving throw. And we will see the template appear. So let's go ahead and move our acolyte, and let's say somehow they ended up in the wilderness over there and stepped on the Fireball Trap, and let's see what happens to them. So here we again are with our acolyte. Our acolyte is going to take a couple steps to the east, and as soon as they step on the trap is revealed, the template is displayed, and a roll is made, and the acolyte fails it with a 1. And we can see the acolyte takes damage. Now, unfortunately, because the trap is within the range of the template, the trap is targeted as well. I'm not quite sure how to fix that. There probably is a way. The player might see this, the Fireball Trap stays with 9, but they won't see how much damage it takes. So To make sure that the trap does not end up with any conditions on it, I just give my trap a lot of health. So we can see mine has over 9,000 health. Alright, we're going to go ahead and move on. The next trap we'll be looking at is a helpful trap. This one will add in temporary healing and the shield spell onto our character that steps onto it, rather than burning them alive in a fireball. So here we can see our helpful trap. Now if I go to my journal entry again, we have @token helpful trap and helpful trap here, and the only other thing that changed was shield, because again we're going to go back to our trap effects actor and see how shield is set up. Now the only thing I changed with the shield spell as it is set up in the SRD is I changed it so that it will have a damage formula, because I couldn't find out a way to apply the DAE effects without having some sort of damage, even selecting no damage actually. This could be something with my workflow, I'm not quite certain, but I did have to have something here, otherwise it wouldn't apply the effect. So let's go ahead and take a look and see how this works as my player is going to step on the helpful trap. We can see the trap is revealed, a dice is rolled, and the shield status appears next to the token. And we can see we gained 6 temporary hit points. So everything is functioning as intended. Alright, pretty straightforward. The next one we're going to be looking at is a remote trap. This is one that is going to be detonated elsewhere, away from where the character steps on the activation tool. Before we see how this functions, let me note something that is a little bit different for this one. We are using a drawing rather than a token to cause the triggering effect, because you can use in trigger happy drawings on the scene that have labels. And so I just drew a square right here and I gave it a label of remote trap, and it'll act as my trigger. So when my player steps on this, trigger, capture, move, DoTrapAttack, trap effects, explosive, which is the item within the trap effects actor, at the token bomb. And where is the token bomb? Back here. Right here. So let's go ahead and see how that works. When we step on it, we should see the explosive item appear on the token bomb. And the explosive item is just the same as the fireball. I just renamed it. So our acolyte is going to take a few steps forward. And as soon as they step within the range of our drawing, the token is revealed behind them and the fireball trap is revealed. And we can see the dice were rolled, so anything within that range would have had to have made a dexterity saving throw. So you could use this in your game if you have maybe one party member that's always pushing forward and they aren't worried about traps, but perhaps a trap is set off behind them and it hits the rest of the party instead. Potentially you could also maybe use it for like a cave-in to separate the party if you want to push your luck that way. But you can decide what maybe you could use this, what other use cases you can find. We are now going to look at the last trap that we'll be detailing today, and that is a trap that will send the player away to a different area marked by a token. And before we do this, we need to take a look at the macro we'll be using. So this is the macro we'll be using, TeleportToToken. It is very similar to the macro that comes packaged with sample macros DAE because I imported it first and then adjusted it second, so we can see even the name is the same. The adjustments I made are instead of taking a selected token, it'll take a target token. I'll put this down in the description below along with the other macros so you can follow along. So we do need to change our item so that it has a template when it does the attack or when it requests a saving throw. We also are going to make a separate macro that will have all of the arguments contained for our particular trap. Let me show you first how we're going to adjust the item, and then I will show you the macro I made with all the arguments we need second. So our item again is contained within the actor trap effects. So if we go into trap effects here, go into banishment, we can see I just made our target range 5 feet radius, and that will create the template I need and target everything within that radius. You could do any template though, anything that works for your game. Okay, let's take a look at the macro I made that has all of the arguments contained for this banishment. I made a separate macro titled shift3, which I start off with game.macros.getName, and then we see TeleportToToken, the name of the macro right here. Referencing this, same name. And then .execute, here I have the name of the token that I want my players to be sent to, and then the arguments about where they should end up. Should they end up right on the token, or should they end up, to the left, to the right? You can decide here the different coordinates of where they should go in relation to the token that is within the quotation marks. Let's go take a look at the token over here, which is right here. We can see the naming matches up exactly as we have here within our macro. Now, there might be a way actually to send the arguments within TriggerHappy, but I found this to be the simplest method for me to create a separate macro that just references the TeleportToToken macro. If you find a simpler way in your game, that's whatever works. This is what works for me. And we'll go ahead and show how we attach this macro to our item. Within our trap effects actor, I created another weapon. It could be a weapon, a spell, consumable, as long as the naming is correct. And I named this one banishment. Now if I go to my effects, I can see a new effect. I cannot edit this, of course, because it's on the actor right now, but I can go here to DAE. We go to edit. We can see that I have enabled when equipped checked, so I need to have that box checked right there. Everything is okay here. Duration, I don't think you need to worry about this unless you want it to. I don't know if there's a way necessarily to have them sent back. I have it just so that they're sent there and then they're gone. Effects, we have macro.execute custom shift3, referencing the macro I created that calls the TeleportToToken macro with the variables in place that I need. Again, this is the simplest way I made it work. Let's see how this functions though in the game. So before we step on the trap, let's take a final look at this last line at token teleport trap right here, the teleport trap. Everything is the same. DoTrapAttack, trap effects, banishment, which is the item on the actor, trap effects, and it's going to execute the macro shift3 if the player fails their saving throw. So let's take a look at our acolyte, and they are going to step on the teleport trap token. They are going to fail with a 6, and we can see they are sent over here to the token over here. Now, if I were to repeat this and do it again, and they were to succeed, they would not be sent away. So keep that in mind. This token also could be on this scene, or it could be on a completely different scene, as long as the naming is unique. So keep that in mind. Maybe you want to banish them to the elemental plane of water. Just a suggestion. Alright, that is about all we're going to cover today. If there are any questions, or maybe potentially even suggestions, please leave them down in the comments below. I'm happy to help as much as I can. Thanks everyone for listening, and I hope you can use this in your game.